Relationship weeds. Get to the roots. Hi, welcome to Lily Love Coach. Do you want to have relationship weeds continuously growing week after week, year after year? Or do you want to get to the root of the issue and just get rid of it? I'm going to tell you some easy steps where if the two of you are willing, you might be able to enter and drop down into some compassion and change your behavior so the same dynamic stops happening. Usually in couples, people make it about the content. The fight is always about the content. Well, it was this way. No, it was that way. You said this. No, I didn't. Yeah, you did. Or, I thought you were going to get this. I never said I was going to get that. Whatever people fight about. You're not helpful enough. You don't contribute enough. You don't give me enough sex. The list could go on, right? Whatever the content, those are the weeds. The roots, on the other hand, are what you really want to be exploring. So, how do you do that? When you find yourself having a reaction, let's say he's not being helpful enough, I want you to scan your whole body and figure out what emotion you're feeling and where you feel it in your body. If the first emotion that comes to you is anger, I want you to go a step deeper and bring it down to sadness, shame, or fear, whatever it is, so you can understand why you're responding the way that you are. So, he's done some behavior, you think he's not being helpful, you've identified the emotion and where it is in your body. Now I want you to ask yourself, what negative statement do I believe about myself? Okay, in real life, we don't slow it down enough to think this. So you might be saying right now, I don't think any negative statement about myself. He's just not helpful. Duh. Well, the reality is, at the core of us, we don't consciously go there, but we do have negative statements about ourselves that started very early on. So some of these might sound like the core ones. I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. I can't trust. I'm alone. Things like that, okay? When I work with my clients, they'll often start off saying, well, he's not helpful, and so he's just not there for me. Okay, that's about him. We want these core statements to be solely about you. So try and identify what it is that's coming up for you. Now, once you've got that core statement, using that he's not helpful as an example, and let's say the core negative belief is that I'm alone, and the feeling might be sadness or fear in the chest. I want you to close your eyes and scan back, basically to the ages of 5 to 10. And I want you to think of the first time you ever felt that feeling of sadness and fear coupled with the concept that I'm alone. And just sit with that for a while, trying to figure out the very first touchstone moment that you brought that into your being. Because what happens is that once that's brought into who we are, we begin to gather evidence from that point forward. It was no one's intention to make us feel alone, right? It's not about blaming our parents. Of course, none of us is perfect. So maybe it was a parental figure, maybe it was an event that happened. Whatever the case, identify that touchstone event of I'm alone. And then from there, I want you to think of other times in your life where you felt similar ways. Okay? Then, the current triggers. What's going on in your life now that brings this up, that brings up the idea of I'm alone? It may be your husband, your wife, a child, a friend, a boss, whatever it is. And now I want you to think about a positive statement you would rather feel, even if the situation never changes. So he's still not helping with the groceries. But you don't want to feel the statement, I'm alone. Maybe you'd like to feel, I'm lovable, or I'm cared I'm cared for, I was going to say, but that puts it to an external that gives the power away. So other positive statements might be, I'm okay just the way I am. I have strength. I can do this. I believe in myself. Things along those lines. So if both partners are taking this inventory, this self-exploration, so that you're not always fighting about the superficial weeds. If you go down below the layers to see where it originated and how you viewed life through your lens, even though maybe your lens isn't the accurate view of the world, there's this objective reality, and then there are all of our subjective ways and interpretations that we put on it. So with couples fighting, if you drop down to this piece that's really wounded from childhood, and then you're able to share that with your partner can gain a new compassion, a new understanding, so that it doesn't escalate and it doesn't become critical. It becomes about saying, oh wow, okay, I get it now. This is what's coming up for you. I really want to react this way, but I get that this is what's coming up for you. So I'm going to either try and take a different approach, ask you what you need, embrace you. When couples have these issues, the issues always arise at these points, these trigger points where wounds bump up against each other. Because if one person views through her lens that he's not helpful, right? But he's like, whatever, all right, sorry you're not helpful, because that's not triggering something deeper within him. The couple just, skirts along perfectly fine. However, if from his perspective, he feels like he's not good enough, a message instilled early on perhaps, or somehow he carried that through his life, then this happens. Here, she's saying, you're not helpful, and internally he's thinking, I'm not good enough as it is, so that penetrates really deeply. And it's those friction points that continually come up over and over again in couples. And it's usually the same exact theme that repeats itself and pushes its little head up in whatever the content may be. So think about what your themes are so that you can be there for each other in a new way and stop all the crap about arguing about the groceries when it's really not about that. It's not about Band-Aids. Clean out the wounds. And this, of course, is related to sex, because in a relationship, man or woman who isn't feeling emotionally connected and there's this continuous resentment building up, you're just not going to want to be heading to the bedroom. Think about this piece. It is one of the most important pieces in the relationship. Fighting is never about the content of the fights. It's always about what's below. What's the behavior that irritates you? What emotion do you feel in your body? Mad, sad, fear, guilt? Where do you feel it in your body? Find a place. We are not talking heads. What is the negative cognition or negative belief about yourself at the core? I am blank. When was the first time you remember feeling and thinking this thought about yourself? 5 to 10. Think through your life about other times that this same feeling and thought came up for you. What would you have liked to have believed about yourself? A positive statement instead of what you did believe. What emotion would you have liked to have felt, and if you felt it, where in your body would it be? What are the current triggers that bring up this negative belief? Share this vulnerable piece with your partner. When there's a vulnerable piece, we can usually see the experience with compassion. Lily Love Coach.